I'm just using them as an example. Life is so hard that a rich white woman in America took her own life. K-Spade. Like a guy that got paid to travel and eat, Anthony Bourdain, he got paid to travel and eat. That is like literally what people wish they could do. He got paid to travel and eat, and life was so damn hard, he took his life.
What up, what up, what up, what up? It's Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. I am Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg, joined my co-host, Buff and Rozzy. Fellas, what it do?
I just want to say, before we get started, I got to fuss at my mama a little bit, because why did I have to find out from Buff that my mama's at Auntie-Con doing her thing, living her best life?
What's Auntie-Con, Rozzy?
Essencefest. So it's the 30th anniversary of Essencefest. If you guys don't know what Essencefest is, where have you been? But if you don't know, it's a huge festival concert that they put on in New Orleans every year, and it goes on. And this is my mom's first year going. I jumped in the group chat with my sisters, like, why y'all got mama out there at Auntie-Con? And they like, well, they started pointing fingers at each other. Well, I didn't say she could come. I've only said hey to her and bye, and stuff. And so they're trying to blame one of my sisters for the one poo. They say poo the one they got her out. Oh, so she out there with the girls? Yeah, she out there with my sisters. So they got a girls trip. One of my sisters, they made it a girls trip.
No, it's just sisters. I like we going to Brook curve. We gonna make it. Your sisters got your mama out of here. Yeah.
So
it ain't tell you nothing.
But she's having a good time, man. They say she's doing her thing. So yeah, I'm proud of her, man. She lost my dad, and she's trying to find her way back to kind of being single and living her life and not letting it grief overtake her and everything. And so I'm proud of her for just going out there and just having fun and enjoying it, man. So, but Essences looked good. I did hear that the Cash Money reunion that they did during Essence wasn't cash moneying. It didn't look all that great, so people weren't impressed by it. But such is life. I hear it's still a really good event. No, I think BG came, but it's just they're old, and it's kind of hard watching older rappers just kind of on the stage. The energy's not there, that type of thing. So I think it's a little bit of that.
Yeah, I mean, and their music was all about being young and in the moment. Mm-hmm. And it's like when you 50, talking about bling bling and doing this, and that ain't gonna check out.
It doesn't hit the same. So
yeah,
let's see that. Go ahead.
Oh, back to your mom. Like I really don't want to overlook it, because we talk about, I don't know if our generation or generations before talk about generations as much as I feel like we do now. The whole 30s, the new 40, stuff like that. We always joke that our parents were a lot older than we were at their age, or however that goes.
At our age, yeah.
It kind of gives us hope. Yeah, at our age, like it gives me hope that, every generation, because I'm assuming your mom's probably early 60s, right? Or mid 60s.
I haven't even made 60 yet. So yeah, she's early 60s.
Your mama is 60
right.
something.
Yeah,
bro. I know your mom's age. I didn't want you to. Yeah, but I say that because our kids, when our parents were late 30s, early 40s, we didn't want them to go out. We thought life was over. I remember when my mom and my dad divorced, and when she tried to date again, I'm like, "What are you doing? You had your time. Your life's over. Like it's time to buckle down and focus on these kids." And 36, what are you trying to do? And I'm 43, and I feel like the best is yet to come. I'm thinking about the trips and the things that my wife and I get to do, and my friends and I get to do. And I think when we're in our 60s, I'm not trying to be relive my youth or, be out there with the young kids. But I think we're still going to be doing things at that age. God willing, that we're all healthy and, mobile and stuff like that. That is just generationally, we're just going to continue to grow, and people are going to be living their best life until their late 60s, 70s and stuff like that. I can imagine if we make it to 70, like, all right, dude, so they're booking a trip to the moon this summer. I can see Rozzy trying to get us to go on a vacation to the moon if that's available. Like, that's what I want. So I commend your mother, and for all the people who are living, they call it your second life, for all those people approaching their second life, to go out there and experiment, because a lot of people didn't. And I mean, there's still people our age who still don't explore their world and their options out there. So congrats, Ma. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to have to get your mama to hang with my mama. Get back out in these, I don't want her in the streets. I want her in the sidewalk.
just outside. Just going outside.
I just want outside. I just want my mama outside. So, all right.
Yeah, I saw when you text back on that. I was like, we'll talk about it on the show. But yeah, I definitely think they need to hook up, and we'll link them up, do a play date. Schedule like we date parents, like schedule a play date. So, what else I got? Vice President Kamala Harris, she's going to be the keynote speaker at AxelF, aka the Boule. So, good job. I'm starting to see her get out a lot more. They're making a much more big deal of her being what she's done, and I think that just comes with Joe Biden being such a weak candidate. They're starting to lean more into Kamala and try to make that election about, hey, there's some strength behind her. She knows what she's doing. I don't know if it's going to work. Joe Biden did a interview with George Stephanopoulos, and it was pretty weak. Yeah, I don't think he did himself many favors, but he did announce that he is staying in the race. So that he's the candidate. And so we'll see how this shakes out, but he has officially said he is staying in. He is going to be the candidate, and we'll see where the chips fall with that. So that's really all I got, man, other than Sexxy Red. Did y'all see her BET performance? She's like, ooh, baby. I know that's the only part I know on that. But yeah, she is. I'm
so disappointed in you right now.
Why?
I just because I can't even put it into words. It's just something about the last 7 to 8 seconds just has me extremely disappointed in you. But continue.
Yeah, I was just gonna say she has a tour coming up. She has a tour coming up after that performance. And for everybody that's talking about they like Sexxy Red or whatever, the tour's not doing that great. So she's only sold 37% of her tickets for her tour, and which is about 85,000 tickets that are still available for the tour. So it is not selling out. When is she coming to Birmingham? Sometime in late August, I think. It is not sold out. Looked. I mean, it comes up on my feed and stuff like that. No, I didn't look to be like, ooh, when's Sexxy Red coming? It was just like, I don't know. BJCC I don't know if you're following Sexxy Red. I'm just asking. No, BJCC, I followed the BJCC to see what's coming, and they posted that she's coming. So that's the only reason why I know. But yes, she's coming, and it is not sold out. I can tell you that much, and I don't think it is going to sell out. So we'll see, man. But she's doing her thing. That's all I got, man.
I just want to echo what you and Ferg said about your mom. Hope she's enjoying herself down there. That really is that's like a movie right there. She lost her spouse. Now she's out there. Her daughter's got her to come to this, Essence Festival. And I just picture a salt and pepper beard dude approaching your mom and trying to holler and stuff.
Cause they out there, bro.
I know.
And like at first she's like, I'm not really looking for anyone.
Nigga say, call me Zaddy.
So big props to
Isn't
her.
a whole group of dudes with gray beards? What are they called? The salt and pepper?
I don't know
the silver fox.
Yeah, silver fox.
Yeah. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm ready.
That's crazy. Nah, bruh.
Yeah, when you're like your mom's in the 60s or whatever, I was like, that makes my head hurt to think that I'm that old, because she's 18 years older than me, so she's 61. Like, it's crazy to think. Like, wow.
Yep.
All I got is we just celebrated the 4th of July. Well, some people did. I just want people to make sure that you are prepared for August 5th, Nathaniel Alexander Black Unity Day. Don't forget, have your folding chairs presents, cook out, make drinks, take off work if you can. But I don't know about y'all, but I'm celebrating. I put in leave to be off that day. I wasn't playing last year when it went down in Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm treating it like a real holiday. If I get off, I will be grilling, I will be drinking, might light up a cigar, and I'm gonna have some folding chairs and pay my respects to Nathaniel Alexander. And a day that the Black community as a whole, I hadn't seen us come together like that in a long time, man. Like, there were no dissenting voices. If there were, I didn't see them. Everybody was just like, yo, the different angles we saw, the brother swimming across. I need to relive all of that, bro.
Cinco de Negro is a great holiday.
And we got a theme song now. K-Dot then blessed us with Not Like Us.
Oh, man. You know what? That video.
We're going down,
we're going to be on a cruise. We're going to be on a cruise that week, that day. So we might get some Cinco de Negro shirts.
Hey, make sure you take your Bluetooth speaker, Ferg, jam that joint. You know what I mean? But make sure you're ready to celebrate August 5th, man. Black Unity Day. I think we should make it a real thing. I'm looking forward to it. That's all I got, man.
I'm with it. I got a couple of things. First of all, came back from the Tampa Clave 84th Grand Conclave of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, the greatest fraternity in the world. Man, Tampa owes me nothing outside of COVID vaccine. So apparently that COVID was going around, and so I came back with COVID. I'm on the back end of quarantining. It was a great time had. My chapter, the Mighty Melodic Bloody Up Upsilon Side chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, once again won International Chapter of the Year. I mean, that's what we do right now. We got second in the step show. For us, that is a L. You know, the expectations is nothing but greatness. But I'm so proud of what my chapter is at today. It was great to see all the brothers. Got a chance to see Razi, which is rare. We've been doing this for 20 years and we never get to see each other. So that was awesome.
And it was just great to connect with people. It was on a humbug. It was like I was walking down Ybor and I saw Lenny, and Lenny was like, Ferg is in there. And I was like, oh, okay. And I walked in, and that's how we got the chance to see each other.
Literally, my ride was leaving. My Uber was outside. We're walking out. And my line brother that ordered the Uber, like, Ferg, don't even worry about it. I know that's your best friend. I'll see you when we get back to the crib. So we sat there and kicked it for a sec. Tampa was great. It's always great to see people you've developed relationships over the last 20 plus years. That's one of the best things to see. And then to kind of see the new excitement, the new young men entering the fraternity and all their enthusiasm. But so be careful out there. COVID is real. This COVID, this last strain or whatever it is, kicked my butt. On a lighter note, there's some good things out. Bryce, I'm still watching Black Clover. Might be one of my top 5 anime. I couldn't predict it to save my life. They keep throwing curveballs at me. And so right now, I'm usually good at predicting shows and where things are going. That caught me off guard, and nothing has caught me off guard like freaking Your Honor. I'm in season 2. Man, I don't know what. Have you finished it, Razi?
I just finished it last night. Matter of fact, yep.
Yeah, we're on season 2. I think going on episode 7. All I was saying is, but he made it back to the bus. That's the last thing I saw. And the whole time, me and Z like, why didn't he clean up? why don't he go wash his face? He got time. He over there, yada yada. Like bus driver ain't gonna let him on the bus. Like, oh, never mind. That was it. That's the last thing we saw. So we gonna finish watching the episodes tonight. But Black Clover is great. I'm excited about. Have you guys seen the preview for what is it called? Possum Trot? Sound of Hope, I think that's what it's called. So it is about a town called Possum Trot, Texas, where a church decided to adopt 77 young kids who are in the foster system. And it's based on a true story and their struggle of coming together as a community and trying to take kids out of the foster system. And it was a struggle for everybody involved, the church, the families, the kids. But I'm very excited to see the movie and learn more about the story. So I haven't seen many previews that like raise so much emotion in me. I was like, man, that is a touching story, because I always think about, I'm into mentoring and helping kids and stuff like that, but you only can do, I've only done so much. And there's people who bring kids into their home long term. And, to me, that's one of the ultimate sacrifices. That's one of the ultimate signs of selflessness. And I ain't there. One of the things I always thought was I wanted to be in a position where I said I wanted 2 to 3 kids on my own and I wanted to adopt. But the 2 I got is enough. I don't know. I don't know. So, but if you get a chance, I'll send you the preview of it. I think it was a really, the trailer for it. Maybe it was just me, but really it seemed like it was a really good movie, and the message and the fact that it's based off a true story is pretty touching. So outside of that, fellas got anything else?
Let's go Coco Golf. This, Navarro girl is giving all she can handle.
I know what you were watching. I didn't,
but hopefully she pulls it out. Wimbledon. Okay. Be checking that out.
Keep us updated on it, Buff. I know you. I've seen the responses as we've gone through. So yeah,
it's like what is going on? What is Buff? What's
Membership means more with American Express Business Gold. Earn 4 times membership rewards points in your top 2 eligible spending categories every month, including eligible U.S. advertising purchases and select media, and U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. What are you waiting for? Get the card that flexes with your spending every month. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Let's go ahead and jump into it. Is Sophia back?
She is not. They are driving back now, so she'll be back next week. So you guys got me, but I think I got a pretty good one this week. I found it. So like here go. What do you call a sugar daddy that only buys pizza? A Papa John.
How about that? That's pretty
clever. Clever.
Yeah.
Sugar daddy that only buys pizza. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
It was only that easy, right?
Yeah.
All righty. Who wants to go first?
Oh,
who didn't get one? Or
why I feel like we hadn't recorded in 2 weeks? It's because we recorded so early last time. Yeah. I can go first because we're gonna disagree probably.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so I've been binge watching this show on YouTube. I found it's called it's a lot of shows similar to it, but it's called like Pop Your Balloon or Find Love. Anyway, you can check that out. I don't feel like explaining what the show is about. But basically, it's kind of like a dating show. And one of the guys asked the women, or maybe it was one of the women that asked the guys, what is your purpose in life? So I just wanted to ask you two fellas. I found that question interesting. That's why I brought it to the show. I found that question interesting. And I'll explain why in my answer. But I wanted to ask you guys, do you have a purpose in life? And if so, what is your purpose?
You want to go first? Go ahead, Ferg. You can go first.
It's up to you. I think I know this for me. I'm probably going to change. It's so easy to say you have a purpose, you know, like for me, I think there's something that just brings the best out of me and it just seems natural. And I feel like this is where I can make the biggest effect. So in short, I feel like my purpose is to make the world a better place for those around me. And through the goal for me or my purpose is to be that for others that I wish I had for myself. So like the most important people in the world to me are my wife and my kids. So I want to be that protection, that guide, that person who makes their lives easier to leave, you know, if I left this world tomorrow, that they would be in a better place based off, not just financially, but based off the things that I taught, the things I instilled, the love that I gave, even the connections that I made, because I feel like the connections I made can be here after me. You know, like if something happened to me today, I hope that if my wife or kids ever need anything, that you guys would be there. Like they know that they can call on certain people to be there, but I want to make their lives better to kind of create a legacy. That's my direct. And then a second example of that is, you know, my siblings and stuff like that, my family. I want to be that guide for them to make their lives easier, you know, because I felt like I had to, whether it's true or not, I had to figure everything out on my own. So I want to be that guide. So I'm the oldest of my mom's kids. I'm the first person to buy a house out of all my siblings. My baby sister just bought a house last month, right? So, and we talked about that. Rising's been along that journey for us for probably the last year. Right? How many conversations have we had about that? I didn't have those things. And if the things I did have, I had to ask Rising and people like that. So Rising was trying to get me to buy a house at 22, 23 when we came back from Afghanistan. I didn't know anything. So being that's an example of being that for my, you know, people. And then, of course, the lamp lighters. I was talking to one of them the other day, actually yesterday, and challenging him to do something. And I want to be for them what I felt like I needed for myself. You know, where would I be today if I had at 18, 19, 20 had a Ferg in my life? You know, somebody who could sit there and kind of give me their examples. You know, of course, I have a bunch of speeches and I overthink things, but I'm going to give it to them as truthful as I know how. I feel like I'm here to help the world and those close to me. And it's almost like I can't help it. Like I'll hear somebody saying something, and in the middle of a conversation, I've been in restaurants and have been talking to the waiter or something like that, you know, especially when I was doing other sales jobs, and they're like, gotta ask you, what do you do for a living? And we'll start talking. It's like, man, I'm trying to do this. I'm going to college. And I've sat down and talked to random waiters in East Texas about getting their credit together, getting back in school and stuff like that. I just feel like I'm here to try to make people's lives better. And I can't help not try. If I see the need, or I see that I have the ability to help them, it's a gift and a curse. You know, I can be in a hurry and I'll still find a way to sit there and implement or try to give them some kind of guidance. So I guess to be a guide is my purpose. I don't know. I said a lot and a little at all the same time, but that's where I feel like I'm my most powerful. That's where I feel like I impact the world. I want to build a legacy, and I want people to be better because I was here.
Yeah. No, it fits you really, really well. I think for me, it's a little bit, I think people look for a singular purpose and like, oh, that's my thing. And I think that's movie romantic, like over the top. I don't think people come into the world with a singular purpose, right? Like, some people do, right? Yeah, you're going to have those folks that's like, oh, my purpose was to become a priest and, you know, bring people to God or whatever. I think for me, I don't have that singular purpose like that. I think to Ferg's point, my purpose really is to be Moses, right? Like be that guide and bring us to the promised land, right? I'm the first of my family to go to college, right? My parents didn't even graduate high school, right? I'm the son of an immigrant and I'm a descendant of a slave. Like, you know, it's one of those things that I had to set that precedent. And so I think that was my purpose, was to set that precedence of excellence, right? Like both my parents drove and they had the sense of excellence there and they instilled it in us, but it still wasn't this thing of look at this person, look what they did, right? And so I think be that example, right? To, you can go to college, you can get a really good job, you can still participate in your community and not lose the common touch, right? Like when they say you can walk with kings and not lose the common touch, like being able to show that, right? Being able to show that you can go into corporate environments and not lose, you know, your personality and yourself in it. You don't have to completely code switch and completely lose yourself and not be able to be yourself in those corporate environments, that type of thing. So to your point, Ferg, about like mentoring and coaching and show coaching and things like that, I think that really is my purpose, right? Is to be one of those people that can be a mid-level, senior level executive. And I didn't even know how much people kind of look up to me or look to me as kind of oh, I want to be like Razi, or I want to, you know, move like that, until people, like you say, kind of stop me and be like, hey, I want your thoughts on this. I really respect you on this. What do you think about this move? And they start running things by me. And so I think that really is my purpose in life, is to kind of bridge that gap, right? Be one of those people that made it out and be able to say, you can make it out too, and help people to be able to do that, right? That's why I sit on the school board, so that I can, you know, catch kids young and say, hey, we can get you and you can succeed and self-actualize and you can be whatever you want to be. So I think that's it. That's my purpose, is to be kind of that beacon for people.
Insert that Snoop Dogg clip. Man, these motherfuckers don't miss. They don't miss. And I say that, man, because both of your answers, I think nearly everyone can get something from both of your answers, because they were alike and they also had differences. I think my answer is probably more in line with Orazio's, but the question just, you know, like I'm watching the show and then I got to like doing something else while the show was playing. And I heard that question, and I've heard that question asked 1,000 times. Like, people always ask that, what is your purpose in life? Rick Warren had the Purpose-Driven Life book that was popular. But for whatever reason, it just caught my attention that time. Like, what kind of question is that? You know, as far as like a first date type of question, but whatever. So I just feel like, I think it is very rare for people to be born with the type of world-changing purpose that people, I think, feel a need to express in their answer. I think most people feel pressure to come up with some type of world-changing answer. It ain't that many Dr. Martin Luther Kings, right, Harriet Tubmans. Like there is so few that you will probably never come across that type of person in your life. But you can do things like what Ferg said and what Razi said. Ultimately, for me, I think my answer would be kind of like the beginning of Ferg's answer. my purpose is to be the best possible father I can be to Jasmine and raise her as best I can, to be the best leader of my family with my wife, my daughter, and just be the best leader I can. Outside of that, if I impact somebody's life in a positive way, that's great. But I think it's our ego at times that makes us feel like we have to have this
divine,
this world changing. Yeah. And ego isn't even like Kanye and Beyonce pretty much told us that ego isn't always a bad thing. It's good to have an ego, but I think that in society just really makes us feel like we need to have this big purpose. And I'm just here to say, life hard as hell. And I want to double. Life is so hard. And I'm not picking on these two people. I'm just using them as an example. Life is so hard that a rich white woman in America took her own life. K-Spade. Like a guy that got paid to travel and eat. Anthony Bourdain. He got paid to travel and eat. That is like literally what people wish they could do. He got paid to travel and eat. And life was so damn hard, he took his life. And I say that to say that life hard, man. You ain't got to have this worldwide goal. Like just surviving and enjoying life. If you do those two things and enjoy life the majority of your life and appreciate this opportunity that God has given us, this literal once in a lifetime life that we have here on earth, if you figure out a way to enjoy that, you've succeeded.
Agreed. I mean, it's funny you say that because I've had this conversation with others, including my wife, and sometimes it depends on what makes. You brought up MLK and Harriet Tubman. I'm pretty sure they didn't start out like, how can I change the world? Right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, this is what's important to me. This is what I'm passionate about. And it grew from there. And so your purpose, for me, it depends on what makes you happy, or sometimes it's your strength. What at the end of the day, what's natural to you that you just, it pours out into the world. And that pouring out into the world, if it just affects one person, like your daughter and your wife are better people because of you. And the world is going to be a better place because of them. Like the way Jasmine moves, there's going to be some young lady who looks at her like, man, there's something about that young lady, or some young man is something, and it changes the dynamics of everything. You don't have to create a nonprofit. You don't have to go out there and mentor. You don't have to be on a school board. Some people, that's more natural. But sometimes it's a one-on-one. Like Z and I are polar opposites when there, but she is dynamic of just getting to know people. Everybody loves her. Like everybody loves Z, you know, and she talks to people on a more intimate level. Like she's probably had more deeper conversations with my mom, hell, my grandmother before she passed. She was telling me, "Do you know that?" I'm like, I've known her my whole life. Never knew that. Right. Like that's her thing. Like, and she makes people feel comfortable, you know, and she's a teacher now, which came out of nowhere. And there's young ladies and young men that just like look at her and it's like, it's something different about you. It's not something she's doing intentionally. It's not something she's trying to do. It's just like her energy. So people, your purpose doesn't have to be this grandiose gesture of just like, I wrote a book and I'm about to be what was it a couple of years ago? Everybody who wanted to be not a physical therapist, like a life coach and all this stuff. Like there's nothing wrong with it. But sometimes it's just, you know, the impact you have with your kids or a sibling or a nephew, or, you know, Buff, you have a lot off. Like, hell, you could be a big brother, you know, like that might be something, you know, taking you out of your comfort zone. Like, you know what, you mentor one young man and something you say in that young man's life changes the trajectory of his life. You know, we don't know what the future holds. So I'm not saying go out and find your purpose or just this grand thing you need to go search for in life. But I think when you find it, you know, or you might maybe already found it, but you just don't want to do anything down with it. Don't put that pressure on you, because I think especially as we approach those milestone years, what am I here for? What have I accomplished in my life? What is my purpose? You know, don't overthink it. you know, so make something out of your life.
I like how you said, you know, MLK, those types of folks don't know that they're making such a big difference until after. Like, they don't go in like, I'm going to make a difference. And I think that's, you know, with you, there's going to be some lamplighter that goes on to do great things. And you never thought that I'm going into this to have my lamplighter become this great thing. It's just, it happens, right? And all of a sudden they're going to be shouting out Ferg when they saw on some acceptance speech, right? I think it's really comes down to making your life and the people around you better. So I totally agree with you, Ferg. I think that's everybody's purpose. And when you find that and how you can do that, I think that's your purpose, right? Is how you can do it. But it's not looking for it. It's just being you and just being a good person around you. And the purpose comes to you. I don't think you have to look for the purpose, right? And if you haven't found it yet, if you don't know what that purpose is, I think that's okay. And so that question for me, especially in a dating aspect, I think is a little misleading or off-putting if somebody's like, what's your purpose, right? It's like, I don't know. I'm just me.
I've seen those shows.
You know, I mess with
Leah. That's probably why it caught my attention.
Yeah, like I mess with Leah all the time. She'll talk to me, you know, we'll be talking about some stuff. Who? And I'll Leah, you know, my girlfriend, for everybody who doesn't know, Leah. So,
I don't know who was that. What happened to AC?
So AC, yeah. She, Army chick. So that's her. It's the same chick.
Okay.
So, but I mess with her and I always say, like, I'm a simple man with simple dreams. And she's like, you do all this stuff. And I'm like, I still live my life like I'm a simple man with simple dreams. My dreams are very simple. It's to get to this money, raise my kids, and help out where I can. And as long as I can do those three things, that's my purpose in life. And so to Buff, to your point, that's it. And helping out when I can is going to be different at any aspect or any time in my life. It might be that work and getting to the money is a little bit more important than mentoring right now. I can't do that right now. Or mentoring might be a little bit more important than getting to the money right now. So I think it's just that three-legged stool of any of those, and how you get to the money, how you get to, you know, raise your family, how you are able to help people out just as different at any given time.
Like I said, these motherfuckers don't miss. That's all I got, though, man. That's all I got.
I want to go into my question because we kind of, all three of us mentioned parenting in our answer. Like, part of our purpose is, you know, so I'm going to send you this scene from one of my favorite shows ever. Any guess what the show is?
This is us,
of course.
This is us, yeah.
Now streaming on Netflix, by the way.
As it should. I've sent you guys a couple of posts, but take a second and watch it, and I want your thoughts, and then I'll come to my question.
Man, that show is so good. It's so good.
I think everybody finished watching the scene, so I'm going to set it up for you guys, for our listeners. So in this scene, a couple of the main characters are Randall, who's one of the dads, his wife, Beth, their adopted daughter, Deja, and her boyfriend, Malik. They're sitting at a dinner table. Malik is a star student getting ready to go to Harvard his freshman year. And Malik's a great kid, but he made some mistakes in the past, and he has a daughter. They're still in high school. Deja and Malik have been dating for a while. Deja's been super responsible. Her, you know, they always say she's wiser for her age and stuff like that. So she's, as most young kids are, very infatuated with the person they're dating at the time. And so she wants to finish school early, take enough credits where she can graduate early so she can move and be in the same city with her boyfriend while he's going to Harvard, and she will enroll in Harvard that following year. She presents her plan to Randall and Beth, and of course, like most parents, they're like, hell no. All right. So the reason I bring this scene up is because we talked about, how important our kids are, and we want to set good examples for them. And Razi, you've talked multiple times about parenting. Parenting, it's easy just to, be an adult, but to parent, it takes that talent. It takes that insight, right? It takes, hey, I know what this looks like on the outside, but as a parent, I need to dig a little deeper. And I say this because I honestly think our generation is probably one of the more of us more than ever have kind of considered some of the parenting methods of old a little outdated. So we're trying to approach parenting in a more thoughtful, open-minded avenue than in the past, right? And so in this scenario, how do Razi and Buff deal with this situation when you have a daughter who has always shown that she was responsible, she's thoughtful, she's kept her grades up, she has the grades to go to Harvard. She's saying I'm going to Harvard like it's nothing. Like, so she's done most things right in her life. And the young man seems pretty responsible, but in your mind, you're like, hey, you're 17. What the hell are you thinking? How do you guys approach this? And what do you take from this scene? I mean, something like that, it doesn't have to be this exact scene, but how do you, as a parent, what do you do?
Tell them hell no. But it's difficult. Like you say, parenting is not being their friend. Sometimes you have to say no, right? But coming from somebody that joined the Army at 17 along with you, right? We went out to basic the summer between our junior and senior year of school. So, and then coming back and senior year feeling like we were grown because we left. We literally were out with grown men, 18, 19, sometimes 25, 26-year-old men in basic training, hanging out. And to come back and try to answer to a parent or something is a little different. And I know if you mentioned it, but Deja's adopted from, like, her parents were like, her dad had left, mom was on drugs, and so she had been taking care of her little siblings and all of that. So when you say she was wise beyond her years, it's not just she was wise beyond her years. She was essentially an adult. And so it's a lot of conversation has to go around that when you're saying, okay, I adopted you, you're my daughter, I love you, but you want to go back off on your own type thing. Being the responsible parent isn't always saying yes. And because kids, even though they're 16, 17, 18 years old, they don't make the best decisions all the time. They don't think everything through. They think through with their heart instead of with their mind. And their emotions drive them a lot of times. And so for me, in that situation, I'm probably not going to say yes to it. I'm with Randall on that, but you got to have that conversation of why I'm saying no. And I got into it with Haley really bad when we were down in Disney and we got it to arguing, and she was like, you don't even care that you hurt my feelings or that, I was sad about something. And I was like, do you know how many times throughout the day I have to hurt my kids' feelings? Like, I have to tell my kids no constantly. I have to say, no, you can't have this thing that you really, really want. No, you can't have that candy. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. So we hurt our kids' feelings all the time. And so you're going to have to hurt the kids' feelings, but you have to explain why. And at that point, I'm like, look, you're in a junior. You don't understand. You've never gone through senior year of high school. So you don't understand what you're missing by skipping senior year of high school. The things that happen senior year, you're going to look back and 20 years from now, you're not going to understand that you missed a lot of stuff in your life that people are talking about that happened in their senior year. Prom, you talk about actual graduation, you talk about, Bachelor Sunday, you talk about senior week, all the things, homecoming as a senior, all the things that happen your senior year, to walk away from that just because you want to be with this boy that I know you love him and everything like that, but y'all have been dating for a little bit less than a year at this point. No, you're not moving away with somebody because you love them. If you really love them, y'all will be able to survive this year, and then you can go to Harvard the next year and y'all can be back together. That's what I'd have to have that conversation with her. But no, she's not moving away. She's not graduating early, taking a GED versus a diploma, those types of things, because Harvard's going to look at that. And she says, I'm going to go to Harvard, but she doesn't understand that it makes it that much more harder to get into Harvard when you do things like that. So there's also that dynamic that we have to talk through and everything. So to your point about having a different parenting style, our parents probably would have been like, hell no, and left it at that. I think where we differ is that we're going to actually have the conversation about the why with it.
The answer is no. And even with your example of going off the basic at 17, you're going off into a relatively structured environment within the military versus her going off with her boyfriend to go live with and being a grown-up. And what I would have responded with to her, you always tell me I'm wise beyond my years. I would say yes, and that hasn't changed. You are wise beyond your years, but that doesn't mean you make every correct decision. And this is one of those decisions that is not correct. You have the rest of your life to be an adult. And you're asking me to let you go play an adult right now when you're still a teenager and you still have a whole nother year of high school to go. And you think you're going to get into Harvard by substituting a GED with a diploma. Like, there are so many things you still don't know. You could be wise beyond your years, but you'll never know everything. And that is like the main reason my answer would be no. Like, you can't go off and play adult. And now everything you're doing is hinging upon you guys working out. And I know right now it feels like you have the perfect relationship and it's guaranteed to work out and you're going to eventually get married. But things change, people change. Both of you guys are young. Circumstances change. All of that needs to be tested before you do anything remotely close to this. So stay here, finish your senior year. You still feel that strongly about doing it after you graduate, then we can have another conversation.
Yeah, and not to mention just the financial part of it. You're not going to move off and then still think that I'm going to be paying for stuff and all of that. Like, moving off,
mentioned that, right?
That means you're going to move off, right? Like that's not how it works, right? You don't get to make decisions on your own. Kind of like we talked about when, like, split parents, right? The mom wants to make decisions about my pockets. Like, you don't get to make decisions about my pockets. You don't get to go say you're going to move and then expect me to help you and call, when things go wrong and when y'all can't eat and everything, because you're going to go get a little part-time job, making minimum wage, a little bit more than that. And you're talking about Harvard. So you guys outside of Boston, right? And it's not cheap. So it's not one of those things that it's just this simple thing to just move. And you're not in school, so you're not even getting financial aid or anything to help out. You literally gonna have to just go up there and just work. And that's another part of it is a lot of people that don't go ahead and start, people talk about a gap year. Gap years usually are you're admitted and you tell the school you're taking the gap year, so they defer your admittance, meaning that you're going back to school after the year. To say you're taking a gap year without actually being in school, most people don't go back. If you don't go directly into school, it's very difficult once you start getting in the grind of day to day to just say, yep, I'm going to go to school after working for a year. Hopefully I can get in now. So there's a lot of things that's just a bad decision, man. God, it's a bad decision.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, once again, these boys don't miss. So I agree with you 100%. I just wanted to think, because sometimes I'll say this and then I'll kind of recap. Our fears as an adult. I think sometimes as an adult, we'll crush kids' dreams because we're so fearful of the outcome. We're almost can be too responsible, right? Like, it's, this ain't gonna work, that ain't gonna work. And it's like, you don't know. Like, you don't want to crush their dreams. But at the same time, you got to look at the consequences. Like, hey, going to FAM instead of going to Florida State, okay, you're going to college. I'm not going to lead you one way versus other. That's your decision. But this dropping out of school or doing all this to follow a young man across country is crazy. One thing I really want to hit on is because her rebuttal was, you say I'm wise beyond my years, which is true. And Buff, you brought that back up. I think there's a difference in being wise beyond your years and wise beyond your experiences. Mm-hmm. And I talk to my younger people in my family. I talk to my lamplighters about that. And you can be even when it comes to dating, you can be the wisest 17-year-old. But if you haven't had certain experiences, it's hard to relate and understand the consequences and what this really entails. Like everything you said, the financial aspect, the fact that most high school relationships don't last. Buff, you're 1 in a million. Like, and this is no shot at anybody. Me and my high school relationship didn't last probably a year after high school, right? Riza, you married your high school sweetheart. That didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
Like Buff, you're one of the only people I know that married their high school sweetheart, and it worked, right? And I'm pretty sure it wasn't always rainbows and butterflies, and you had to grow and learn a lot. But even then, you guys took your time maturing. Because you both were in Mobile for a while and all this stuff. You didn't move off to DC at 17. Like, follow me. Do you think you would have made it if y'all would have left Mobile at 17, 18 and went on your own and tried to do these things? That's a big difference. And you're right, Razi. It's not about being their friends all the time. It's, hey, if this is meant to be, you guys will be together after you graduate. You got one more year. Forever's similar conversation. Forever's a long time. If you're going to be together and to say this is 2020, 2021, it'll survive to 2022. It'll survive to 2023. But you can't see that because part of your youth is you don't have the patience, right? You're wise, but you're not patient. And that still shows me that maybe you're a little too immature, that you're still making rash decisions. Let's back this up. Like, let's look at everything you're presenting. Hey, I'm going to leave school early to follow a young man I've been with for maybe a year across the country. I love him. Once again, we all loved whoever we were with. 17, 18, as much as we can love them at 17 or 18. Not knocking that. What I'm saying is, why rush it? These are things that you got to have. This is a conversation you're having. Acknowledging that, hey, like, once again, you're wise, you're this, but there's still things that I have concerns about, because what's the worst that can happen if you don't go? It doesn't work and y'all break up and you lose the love of your life. Happens every year. If you stay here, what's that worst that can happen if you leave? You lose focus. You get pregnant. You're out here starving. Like, it's so many things that can happen. And it takes a parent to see that, because there's two trains of thought. Like, Rise, we had a lot of freedom when we were kids. Me more than probably any of you guys as far as the decisions I made. And so some parents just let the kids do what the hell they want to do. You 17, you almost grown, you about the house in a year anyway, because there's that train of thought. We've seen that 1,000 times. Or there's the parents that, like you said, hell no, ain't nothing else to talk about. You want to move out, you on your own. They actually had a conversation. I can respect that, In the long run, she stayed, went to school, graduated. I think they both ended up at Harvard. And I don't know if they got married, but I think years later it showed them having a kid together and stuff like that in the one of the final episodes. It just, sometimes it takes its time, or parenting takes that actual skill set. But what's scary is a lot of the parents are kids who didn't have guidance to help make that nobody taught them how to make rash decisions or rational decisions. And so now they're kind of, we always think like, well, they're a parent. Like, you got to remember, some of these parents are fuck-ups too. A lot of, what was I watching?
Or going back to Buff's question, they're doing the best they can, right? With what they had. They may have never gone to college. They may not have had any of those situations to have to kind of deal with or think through. So they just don't know, right? Like we talk about financial literacy, right? Like it's hard to help kids make good financial decisions when you've never been taught to make good financial decisions. Yeah,
and right? You can blame me. I mean, it's not like I didn't want to learn. You know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. But Beverly Hills Cop 4, Axel Foley.
Yeah, the new one.
One of the things he talks about was, hey, I've been a parent as long as you've been a kid. Right? I've never dealt with this situation where my oldest daughter wants to go off to college to follow, leave school early to follow a young man. I don't know if I'm making the right decision. Mm-hmm. Like there's no handbook. Nothing prepares you for this.
One thing I did want to say though is there's a thing where maybe there was a way for us to get through and find a common ground, like where she was like, hey, I'm taking AP and so I'm going to take the GED. Maybe it's, okay, can you actually graduate early? And is there a way for us to get you an extra class or two so you can graduate early so that you can apply to Harvard, get directly into Harvard, so then you can go there as a freshman instead of taking this gap year. And then maybe at that point, I may have been okay with it, right? 17, 18 is not a huge difference. She is super wise for a 17-year-old, right? So there, again, the conversation has to be had. Maybe it wasn't a flat out no. Maybe it was a way for it to work where you can graduate a year early. Like Ariel, Pooh's daughter, she graduated a year early and went straight into UAB. So, it's not.
But why, Rozzy? Why?
Why did she graduate early? I mean, she just had the credit. She had taken enough, and so she just went ahead and, it made sense for her to graduate early because she needed, I think, one extra class to be able to do it. So she took an extra class outside or something like that. So it just so happens.
And I'll leave it at this. Sometimes your why is all I need. You graduating early to follow a boy doesn't show maturity to me. It doesn't show making wise decisions to me. Changing your life like that on a dime for somebody else doesn't, that's the difference. Like, hey, I have this opportunity to go to Spain and travel and do this and be on the Olympic volleyball team, yada, yada. If I do this and this and this, okay, that's an opportunity for your future. Right? This is a once in a lifetime thing that might be beneficial to you. Something that, you've been practicing volleyball, softball, track your whole life. This is something you've shown dedication to and all this stuff. All of a sudden, this is your first boyfriend and you're like, yep, I'm about to graduate early to follow this dude across the country to be with him because we love each other and yada, yada, yada. So that's the reason I asked with Ariel, because, I think was it a scholarship and all that stuff attached to it?
I mean, it wasn't anything that caused her to. I think it was just she was taking classes. She looked up her junior year like, oh, I only need 19 more credits and I'm done. And so she was like, all right, that's cool. So I think it was just her, being an overachiever, taking summer classes and then looking up junior year like, oh, I'm almost done. So she didn't even know she was graduating early until the beginning of her junior year.
That makes sense. Let's go ahead and close it on out. Buff, you had anything else to say? You ain't letting Jasmine graduate early to follow a boy to Harvard?
She's more than welcome to graduate early, but she ain't following no boy.
But
right.
It's Harvard. So she's welcome to go. She's welcome to graduate early. She's welcome to go to Harvard if she gets in. So just because she's following a boy, how does that change it? Like, would you be like, no, you're not going to Harvard because the boy's going?
Yeah.
I mean, if it just aligned that way, but to change your life, to me, that's not good. Those aren't good habits. Like, I don't want to teach any of my kids to change, you know, who they are, especially this early, to follow, you know, this dream. But last question, because my daughter asked me this and we were kind of talking about it. What age are your kids allowed to start dating? Really fast. Or what age 14. Was Haley, and that's what age Haley was allowed to start, and what age, so you can let Sophie start dating at 14?
She didn't go to her first date. I think she was 15 on her first date. Haley was, but 14-ish. I look at those like supervised dates. Like I'm okay with you going on a date, but you know, I'm there at the movie theater with you type thing, or that type thing.
You must not remember what you were saying on the phone to girls at 14.
I know exactly what I was, but the same thing. We were 14 going out, right? I mean, what's the difference in us as a parent saying you can go out, I'm sanctioning this, I'm gonna be there with you and this boy, or hey, meet me at the skating rink, right? And you dropped your kids off at 13, 14 at the skating rink, or you saw them skating with some boy and they talking or whatever. Like, you saw that happening. Buff, I don't know if Jazz has gotten to the point where she's like skating with some little boy, or like, you know, they're at school and maybe she got a boyfriend or somebody she's crushing on type thing. But it's about that time. I mean, she's going in her sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, I mean, when that comes up, we'll address it. I'm not freaking out about it. I'm not going to do the stereotypical have my shotgun ready and all that kind of silly stuff. We'll discuss it.
Because how old is she now?
15.
So you're good. Yeah. Like, if she started dating today, you were able to hold off to 15.
Yeah.
You know, like if we would have had this conversation on the first episode, like 5 years ago, right? This is a different, you know, would you be like 14, 15, you know, Sky asked that today, and she was like 13. She's like, when I'm a teenager, I'm like, yeah, you got, that's 13 to 19. That's a couple of years. She's like, 13's a teenager, like, not in this house. And so we were debating anywhere between, she's like, well, 13 to 16. She's like, 16 is too late. I'm like, well, 13 is not an option. So it's 14, 15, or 16. So I was just asking, you know, at what age, and I agree with you, Rise, that supervision, and, you know, there was things that would happen behind the scenes that we can control, or, you know, we were meeting up and doing all that. But I also don't want them to be focusing on things or supporting them focus on things that can derail them, you know, too early, you know, giving too much leeway, because when they start dating, you know, a lot of their focus is going to go into that anyway. Just like, you know, I look at my kids both have iPads, and they have, my son has a Nintendo Switch. If I let him just do what the hell he wants, you know, he's going to, that's where all his energy is going to be. And so sometimes, like, look, you know, the longer I can keep you focused on this, and only allow certain things, the further we'll get down the line, you know. So my daughter is the only person in her class that doesn't have a cell phone. And she's also one of only 2 students that made all A's last year and this year.
Yeah.
Like, last year she was the only person that, well, second grade, she was the only person that made all A's in her class. And this year she's one of 2 people that made only all A's. So I'm like, they're doing things.
How old is Sky?
Sky is 9.
Man, all the kids getting cell phones at 8 and 9?
Yeah, I mean, now, I mean, for one, you got a lot of kids that catch the bus, and parents, you know, parents grew up with cell phones. So, you know, some of these parents are younger. To be 43 with a 9-year-old, you got to think there's people who are 27, 28, 29 with a 9-year-old, right? And so their ideas of parenting and how old kids, what's appropriate for kids, might be a little different from ours. because we got things later in life. And also, it's a lot of different factors, but she's the only person, for emergencies, and the same reason Mobile, where parents are fighting. I think Mobile's taking cell phones away from kids in class or something like that.
One of the schools, fighting, they're locking them up. That they have to lock them up throughout the day.
Yeah, like what if there's an emergency? Well, they can call the school like our parents did, or kids can go to the office. There were emergencies before 2024, right? There's ways around it. What is you gonna call your kid and tell them emergency? They're just gonna get up and leave? There's still things that have to happen. So that's, as a parent in our household, that's how we think. And Sky doesn't agree with it, but she's 9, so who cares? But it's just that. So
can she text on her iPad and FaceTime and stuff?
So yeah, she has her iPad at home, right? So she FaceTime some of her friends. They play Roblox and stuff together. She has an iPad and a Kindle and all. So she has an iPad where she's FaceTiming, sitting there FaceTime with somebody and playing Roblox at the same time. So she's still social.
So do you feel she's just too young to have a cell phone right now? Why are you opposed to it?
There's no benefit to her. It's I can't name a moment where Sky has been unsupervised in her 9 years. Like, she's at a day camp, she's at school, she's with an adult somewhere. She's not walking home from school. She's not doing anything like that. Sky is always around somebody who has access to her information, our information, or something like that. And if there was a need for it, then yeah, I don't see what she needs a cell phone for. Because everything she can do on a cell phone, for the most part, she can do at home when she gets on her iPad. She wants to talk to her friends. She wants to text. She can do all that stuff. And it's in a controlled environment. These kids now be sexting and texting. And I want to control as much of her childhood as possible. Because like I said, I don't know if it's just circumstantial, and Sky's a great student. She's super smart. And it's just, hey, you're one of the only kids that has all A's, and you're the only kid without a cell phone. I'm not going to change it.
Right. I'm getting Sophie one for her birthday this summer or this year. So yeah. So as she turning 11.
Sophie turns how old?
11. So yeah. Yeah. And she's going to middle school. That's really, like you say, it's that access. It's that bit after school. She have after school programs where it might not be super supervised, right? That type of thing. So it's a different dynamic going into middle school. So I'm getting her one now. But I agree. I think a little bit of it is there's no reason for have a cell phone at school, right? And like you say, you have your iPad any other time. So I don't see the point of buying a cell phone if they had the iPad. Now, if there wasn't an iPad and you wanted to let them be social with other kids and stuff, I could see the point of it. But I think having the iPad changes stuff a little bit there. So.
All right, let's go ahead and close it on out.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Only thing I got, man, is a new show alert that's coming out August 29th. There's a new show by Jeff Goldblum called Kaos that looks pretty dope. They're taking the Greek pantheon and they're going to retell the Greek stories in current day America. So Zeus is like just a dad, that barbecue, and Jeff Goldblum's playing Zeus. And so he's just a dad barbecuing or whatever. And he has his kids there, and all the hilarity, I guess, from Greek mythology is going to ensue. So we'll see how it goes. I'm kind of excited about it. Looks pretty good, but check it out when it comes out. Other than that, man, I got nothing else. Just what up, Contentville. Thank you guys for listening. Check us out on all your podcasting platforms. Apple Podcasts. You said Google Podcasts changed. It's not Google Podcasts anymore. Google Music, I guess, or wherever. iHeartRadio,
YouTube
all that.
Music.
YouTube Music. That's it. Check us out there. And like Ferg always says, tell somebody else about it. Make sure you share us, man. So that's all I got.
I don't have much either. We talked a lot about our kids this episode, and I'm going to be vague, but I just want to tell my daughter how proud I am. And I know she doesn't listen to the podcast. Maybe one day, years to come, she may go back and want to hear Daddy's voice. She's too cool for that right now. But I just want to tell her I'm just so proud of you, your maturity, and just everything you've been doing lately. This last week, like I said, I don't want to get into specifics, but I couldn't be more proud of her. And I just hope she continues the trajectory she's on. And I hope it means a lot to her how proud, not just me, her mom too. We both are just extremely proud of you. So that, and my computer is telling me that it's National Chocolate Day. I don't know how accurate that is, but hey, if you didn't get a chance to eat chocolate on July, what's today, 7th, go ahead and indulge when you hear this episode and let it be your National Chocolate Day. Or get you a slice of cake or something. But that's pretty much all I got.
Okay. I don't have much, but I mentioned this a little earlier. I don't know if you fellas saw Beverly Hills Cop 4, AxelF, whatever. What did you guys think?
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Not bad. It's pretty good.
Is it?
It's pretty good.
I will say I was impressed. I thought it was good.
They took a little shot at part 3. They took
as they should. Part 3 almost screwed up the series, and that was 30 years ago. I want to say 1994, so it's 30 years later. But at least they brought one of my favorite characters back. You know, I will say they brought a lot of the old cast back. I was for one of the movies that's had the biggest gap between the last series and the latest. Excuse me. I was impressed. I think Eddie Murphy did a good job. The writing on it was pretty good. You did there was a lot of reminiscing. You captured a lot of the moments, but up to date. It was 20. I was nervous because I wanted to get behind Coming to America 2. It wasn't a bad movie. It's just you can't recapture. Coming to America was lightning in a bottle, and there was no way to follow that storyline up 30 years later, right?
Yeah.
This, I think they did really well because, hence, that's why it had, 2 other sequels, but this fell right in line. I was happy. It wasn't Bad Boys, but it was up there. So, definitely a good one. So, if you haven't gotten a chance to watch it, it is on Netflix. It's hilarious. It was hilarious. I don't laugh out loud often, but I definitely laughed out loud a couple of times. So if you get a chance, Beverly Hills Cop, AxelF. And with that being said, 3 Brothers No Sense, 6 Rules of Podcast. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.